Hey, guys. Hey, good morning. Good morning. And I hope you're having a good, what is today, Wednesday? I got my days confused. I don't know if you guys ever do that. I get my days confused. But today I want to talk about, I had Tatiana, she's in my group coaching. She sent me a message last night and she goes, "Hey, is there any way we can talk about in the morning? Can we talk about closing the sale, closing the appointment?" Hey, Christy. And I said, "Yeah, sure. It's a good topic. I didn't really have anything planned. I want these things in the morning to be kind of like kind of a, a theme or something main I'm talking about, but it's not as structured as my group coaching calls. I want it to be more of a conversation than anything. But closing the sale and closing for the appointment, I know there's a lot of agents that have trouble doing that. And when you do, it's kind of discouraging sometimes. I've been there before too, where it was like I was making calls, I was having meaningful conversations, I had people that seemed like they really liked me, but then you just don't get the appointment. Hey, let me know if you're on the call today. Just say hey, tell me where you're from or what market you're working in. So but but yeah, so it kind of sucks sometimes when you're just not closing the sale, and sometimes I think, and I could be wrong here, but I got some theories and some ideas on why some people are not. Hey, Osiris. Good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning. So I got some ideas on why people aren't closing the sale and why they're struggling to close. And I'll tell you, I think that the number one reason sometimes that people aren't closing is they don't have the training. They don't know how to do it. You know, like a lot of us, especially us guys, we kind of go, "Oh, I'm a big guy. I know how to do this. I'm an expert salesperson." We ain't never sold a damn thing in our life. You know what I mean? Sold something on eBay one time. Hey, Christy. Um, but I think that a lot of the times the reason why we're not closing is because we haven't been trained to close. And one of the things I talked about in my group coaching, this was a few months ago, was I talked about asking 3 times for the appointment. And But let's talk about why I don't think some people are having trouble closing. And then we'll talk about how to do it better. But I think sometimes I think agents lack training. Sometimes I think that agents, they don't have goals themselves, right? So when you don't have a goal yourself, and you're just kind of floating around out there in the world, and if it happens, it happens. Sometimes you don't really go after it. You know what I mean? You don't go after the person. Um, Sometimes I think that agents have just a shortage of closing material. They don't have the tools. They don't have a pre-listing package, right? They don't have a pre-listing package. They don't know how to do a proper pricing strategy. I mean, I know I take some heat every now and then because I think that pricing strategy is like really important, and I don't think that it's. I think most people are doing it wrong. I think a lot of agents are doing CMAs wrong. I think they're showing up to the house and they got a handful of comparables and they're just hoping shit works out. You know what I mean? They don't really have a real system they can relay. Sometimes agents will come up with a price, and this is something wild too. Like agents go, "Oh, well, I want to price it at." Dude, you ain't pricing nothing nowhere. The seller prices their property. You don't price it. The seller prices it. Of course, you need to make sure it's going to sell. You need to justify their price, but you're not pricing the property. The seller's pricing the property. But you know what? I think that sometimes too, I think that we buy into the potential client story. They tell us, they say, "Oh, well, I've sold 3 houses on my own, and I don't really need an agent." Hey, Steve. Hey, Ann. Hey, Kelly. But we buy into their story. They say, "Hey, we don't really need an agent. We don't really need an agent. We sold 2 houses on our own." And as real estate agents, we go, okay, Mr. Seller, we'll see you later. And we never call them back. You know, I had an agent telling me yesterday he's in a coaching program, and the coaching program is literally to only call sellers one time. You know, only call for sale owners and expireds and talk to them one time. If you don't set the appointment, you don't get the listing, then you move on. So, and I was thinking about that after he said that, and then after talking to one of the agents in my program last night, I was like, man, you know, that's wild. You know, you only call one time. You're basically throwing leads away, you know. But I think that a lot of agents just have never been trained, and I think that they don't have the closing material. And another thing is, well, I think they buy into the potential client story. But another thing is, I think a lot of agents, the reason why they're having trouble closing is they really don't believe in the service they're offering. I don't know if you guys have ever done that before. Like, hey, Jared, some agents are out there, they don't have a pre-listing package. They took one listing, it expired. Their brokering charge is about as negative as you could possibly be. And they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in the process they have. They don't believe they have a plan to sell a house. They're just going to put it on MLS, put a sign in the front yard, and just hope something happened. I had this old broker a few years ago. Well, this is like when I first started. He used to call it poking and praying. You poke a sign in the front yard and pray something happens. And I think a lot of agents are doing that. And one of the reasons they can't close for the appointment or close for the listing is because they don't have confidence in what they're doing. And you know, it kind of sucks. I mean, one of the reasons I started Real Estate Agents That Really Work is because I was talking about things in other real estate groups, and it came to my attention that a lot of offices didn't have real sales training. And I got this funky belief. I believe we're in a real sales business, you know, and I believe that we have to look for solutions for clients and things like that. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like some of you guys know that I do the whole credit repair thing, and if I can help you guys with a client or bad credit client, just send them, you know, let me know. But you know, I believe that we're in the sales business, and I believe that we have to go out there. We have to build sales skills, right? So, on the call, I'll tell you guys, if you guys all do this, if you guys all really listen to me and really just believe in what I'm telling you, you go out there and you start asking for the appointment 3 times on the initial call. Every call that you have with your clients for the next week, start asking for the appointment 3 times. Okay. And this is what I mean. You're on the phone with them. You're having that meaningful conversation. You go in and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'd like to come by and take a look at your house. How about Tuesday at 2? And they go, oh, no, I can't do it Tuesday at 2. Oh, man. Your next question should always be, will you be at work that day? Are you working 9 to 5? Right? If you can't meet me Tuesday at 2, or whatever time you say, it doesn't have to be Tuesday at 2, but whatever time you say, or whatever time you try to close for the appointment, they tell you no, your next question needs to be, oh, well, Mr. Seller, are you working that day? And they will answer in a way that they have to justify that. Most of the time, you know, they will answer, this is what I have. This is what I have. And they say, oh yeah, I work Monday through Friday. Yeah, I work 9 to 5. Oh, no problem. I understand how that is, man. How about if we meet on Saturday? I'm going to be out. Let me look at my schedule. I'm going to be out your way Saturday. You know, they say, oh, well, Saturday's not going to work. Well, how about Sunday? Right? If you guys start looking for ways to ask 3 times, if they say, if you try to close for the appointment, they say, hey, will Tuesday at 2 work? They say, oh, we don't want to work with a real estate agent. Your next question should be, you do want to sell your house, right? Right? Just that easy. You know, I think, and here's the thing too, I think that sometimes a lot of agents go, oh, I don't want to be high pressure. I don't want to be salesman and I don't want to be high pressure. Well, you do want to make money, right? And I think that sometimes, like, some of us get caught up in this whole thing where we think we're marketers. There's two ways to do the real estate business. One is to market and look for business, which is basically to buy your business. That's number one. And the number two way is to go out there and prospect for business. And a lot of agents would rather spend money. They'd rather spend money on Facebook ads. They'd rather spend money on only God knows what. I mean, I get asked about stuff all the time. I get pitched shit every day. I get pitched somebody wanting to sell me a funnel. I get pitched somebody wanting me to help them sell you guys their shitty funnel, And the thing is probably most of the time it's probably just a ClickFunnels. It's probably just a ClickFunnels template, but I think a lot of agents look for they think there's an easy button. They think there's a silver bullet. They think there's a magic question, and all this stuff. But there's really not. I mean, there's really not at all. And a lot of it's just training and asking questions and conditioning yourself. And you guys that are in my group coaching, listen to this. What we'll do is we'll go over close of the sale, like really in depth, on Thursday. But if you guys start going out there and asking for the appointment 3 times, 2 o'clock won't work. Okay, what do you work during the day? They will answer you, and they'll probably tell you their work hours. They say, oh yeah, I work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Hey, no problem. How about if we meet on Saturday? Would Saturday work for you? One of the things for me too is that I've done that I encourage all of you to do. I have a lot of confidence in my closing statement and my closing question. My closing question is, when do you want me to start working for you? Hey John, hey David, hey Tatiana. But that's my closing question. Like, when do you want me to start working for you? And for me, it's a line I've got a lot of confidence in. I think that other people like the idea that, hey, I'm going to be working for you. And I'll tell you this too, like start being self-aware of like what you're saying, the words you're using. And I think this is really important too. Be really self-aware of the words you're using when you're talking to sellers. Like, number one, you should completely eliminate the word listing from your vocabulary. With the general public, the word listing has a negative connotation. And you guys think about it. Whenever you hear somebody from the general public say, hey, I listed my house, or somebody listed their house. When they're talking about listing their house, it always is followed by the bad story. Oh, I listed my house with this agent and they never called me back. Or, oh, I've listed my house and it stayed on the market 6 months and we really didn't get any showings. Whenever somebody talks about selling their house, they actually say, oh, I listed my house with Jason and he sold it in 2 weeks. They don't really say they listed it or Jason sold my house in 2 weeks. Right? If you guys start eliminating the word listing from your vocabulary when you're talking to sellers, don't call your pre-listing package your pre-listing package. Call it your pre-appointment package. And if you guys won't mind, you can get it actually from Jason Morris. Jason Morris prelistingpackage.com is where to get it from. So, and I'll tell you, like, once you have a pre-listing package, once you have a listing system together, that is going to give you like a lot of confidence. Like, sometimes I think that some of the agents in my group coaching, they had the drive, they had some knowledge, they had a lot of stuff, and what my group coaching really did for them was it gave them a system and gave them confidence. It gave them some scripts that somebody else was giving them, and it just basically reinforced what they were already doing. Because I've had some agents in my group coaching that have went out and absolutely crushed it. I mean, Adam Blacketeer is one. Adam's done really, really well. Tommy Pierce is another one. Tommy done really, really well. There's Elijah. There's gosh, I think David. I think you're setting appointments like crazy this week, aren't you? Joe Skirkis is setting appointments like crazy. God, there's a bunch of them. God, there's one girl that closed like $3.2 million last month, which is insane. But the thing too, sometimes you got to when you're on the phone with these sellers, here's something to keep in mind too. I know that we all want instant gratification, and we all want to be, we all want to be a one and done type of thing, where we call them one time, we're done. We go on the appointment one time, we're done. But here's the key. Lots of times is the key to listing a lot of property isn't really in the initial calls. The key to listing a lot of properties in your follow up. What do you guys think about that? If you guys have any questions, go ahead and just post them in the chat box and let me know what they are. I'm happy to answer them this morning. But yeah, I think a lot of agents, the main problem is they don't ever follow up. They have great conversations with people, and they just never follow up with that person. And it's kind of unfortunate. And sometimes you have to get like really, really creative with your follow up. I mean, and that was one of the reasons I created the whole follow up master day planner, was just I felt like a lot of agents just had no clue on it. So let's say this though. Okay, you call that seller. You call a seller this morning, and you really have a really damn bad conversation. I'm talking about you have that conversation that's like embarrassing, right? Where you literally say all the wrong things. I mean, you just nothing goes like what you thought it was going to go in the conversation. Okay. The crazy thing is that we can probably call them back 2 or 3 days later, and they probably won't even remember. They won't even remember us, right? They won't even remember what we talked about, which that in itself is really kind of crazy too. I'll tell you guys a story about that whole thing. So this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. Laura had just gotten in the real estate business, and she'd never been on listing appointments or anything. And we were actually working at different companies. We just started like dating each other. That was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. So anyway, I told her, I said, look, why don't you go on a few listing appointments with me? Because at the time, my business was like really, really simple. Like I disbanded my big team I had, and it was just me. And and this was what my routine was back then. I would get to the office about 7:30, 7:45. I would call really damn hard from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. I mean, I was religiously doing 3 hours of calls a day. I'd go on appointments, and I try to set my appointments for kind of early in the afternoon. And after my appointments, if I didn't have anything else to do, I'd just go home. And at the time, I was living in this place. It was across the street from the ocean, and it was, like, man, I'd go home, and I could see the ocean from my balcony. I could watch people walking down the street. It was kind of a cool place. But anyway, so she goes, like, you don't really work that much, is what she told me. And she goes, how are you? I mean, how do you just know all these people? Because at the office she was at, she was being told a sphere of influence. And guys, I mean, sphere of influence, I think, is probably like the worst place to depend on your business to come from. I'm not a big fan of of sphere of influence. Hey, Kate, you know what? I've been a pretty loyal user to RedX. You guys in this group, if you call RedX, they'll waive the $150 setup fee for you. You just have to tell them I sent you. But I've been using RedX for probably 10 years. Every time I've switched, I went back to RedX. But yeah, so I tell her, I say, oh, I make calls in the morning. She goes, hey, who do you use to, who are you calling? I said, well, I call expireds and for sale by owners. And she goes, well, can I come listen to you make calls? So she comes to my office. We go in the conference room. it was one of those days where like shit, everybody answered the phone and everybody really liked me, and and I set like 3 appointments like the first 20 minutes. I mean, literally like one of those days where it's just luck. So so anyway, I said, hey, I set these 3 appointments. I'd set them all on the same day, pretty much back to back. And I told her, I said, why don't you just go on the appointments with me, and I'll introduce you like, hey, as my assistant or whatever. You can't really take another agent on an appointment with you and say, hey, this is another agent I work with. Yeah, we're not at the same office. So we show up to the first one. The first appointment, literally, we could have walked in the door and then turned around and walked right back out. I mean, the guy was just a jerk. And I told her, I said, hey, you know what? It happens. On the way to the second appointment, I realized that it was a 3 o'clock appointment, and I realized that the second and third appointment, I'd set them both for 3 o'clock. And I don't know how I done it. And this is what I told her. I said, hey, well, we finished up that one like super fast. It lasted like 20 minutes. Yeah, guys, I'm all about a quick no. Um, so it didn't look like we were going to list his house and he was being a jerk. So I was like, okay, let's go. I'll see you later. And so the second appointment, we're on the way to it. And I said, shit, I set these 2 appointments both at 3 o'clock. So why don't we show up to the first one like 20 minutes early? And we'll show up to the second one like 15, 20 minutes late. And, like, we'll just say it was a mistake. We'll say we're running behind, whatever it is. Turns out the second appointment, these people like absolutely love me. They want to list their house, which was cool. And so we go down through the paperwork, and instead of this being like a 20-minute appointment, hey, Daryl, hey, Carol, instead of this being like a 20-minute appointment, this ends up being like an hour appointment. And so like the whole getting there 15 minutes late thing was like completely out of the window. That just wasn't happening at all. So we get back in the car. It's like 3:30, and Laura goes, "What are we gonna do?" And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I'm just gonna take and show up. I'm just gonna show up. Let's just show up at 4, and we'll apologize and just say, hey, I thought we had an appointment at 4." And so we get there, and I didn't know this guy was like ex-military, and this is one of those guys that if the appointment's at 3:01, you're late. He's like standing out in the yard waiting on me, and I mean he's like a total jerk, which he had the right to be. He should have been a jerk to me. I give him my whole made up thing about, hey, I thought we were going to be here at 3. I thought our appointment was at 4. I give him that whole bullshit story, and so we go into the house, and unbelievably, I do my same little routine, look around the house, ask some questions, sit back at the table, go down through my active pricing strategy. I go down through my net sheet. I mean, these people are looking at me and hanging on every word. He has a couple of requests where he wants a couple of extra signs out because he was on this funky cut through road. So he wants a couple of extra signs out. And I'd say, yeah, okay, no problem. It'll take me a couple of days to get them because I didn't have any directional signs. And anyway, he signs the listing agreement and stuff with me. And he calls me the next morning and he fires me. And the listing had never even went in MLS because when we had finished the appointment, it was kind of late when I was getting back. And I said, I just put it in the morning. Guy fires me. So like year and a half later, I'm at Better Homes and Gardens. Me and Laura are making calls. And I mean, literally, I'll tell you guys, there's so much business out there. For like 2 years, me and her sat in the same office, like 10 feet apart, calling literally the same expires, the same for sale owners. And I think we went on those same appointments. I think we went on appointments with the same people like 3 different times. There's so much business out there. Me and you could sit side by side in the same market and probably not do business with the same people, because there's going to be some people that are going to relate really well to me. There's some people that's going to relate really well to you, and there's some people that's not going to like either one of us. So like a year and a half later, we're making calls. I'd been talking to this guy, following up with him, had some really great conversations with him. We're setting up an appointment. I didn't realize that Laura had been talking to him too. And anyway, because I mean, we didn't really compare notes or anything. We just, we just made calls and set appointments. So, she gets off the phone with this guy and she goes, I said, hey, we got a, she goes, hey, there's this guy you've been talking to, and I've been talking to him too. And, he wants to know if like he can work with both of us. And I said, yeah, sure. Let's set an appointment with him. Let's go list the house. So she sets an appointment with him. And I mean, this had been like a year and a half before. So we're on the way to the appointment, and when we turn on the road, I go, oh shit, and hey Jim, Thursday it's 11 a.m. each week. There's a weekly objective, weekly topic. Yeah, you can send me a message, and I can send you a link, and you can learn more about it. But so we're on the way to the house, and it's like, oh shit, that's that guy that fired me like a year and a half before. So Laura goes, what are you gonna do? And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, I drive a different car, because I was driving. I said, well, I'm driving a different car. It's been like a year and a half. Let's just show up, and we'll just see what happens when we get there. You know what I mean? And so we get there. I mean, literally, it's probably like hard to miss like me and it's hard to miss me and a redheaded girl, getting out of, at the time I was driving a bright red Cadillac CTS. So I feel like it was like hard to forget us, but we go through the guy's house, we take pictures. I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to walk through the house with them. You follow me, you take pictures as we go. We're going to like be in and out. Either it's going to go really well and it's going to be really quick, or it's going to go really damn bad. It's going to be really quick. But either way, we're leaving like really fast. We go through the guy's house. We sit at the kitchen table. Literally, I sit at the same place I sat the time before. Laura's sitting in the same place. I tell the same stupid stories. I mean, literally, I do the same thing on every single appointment. And anyway, they list the property with us. They sit there and they literally talk shit the entire time about their previous agent. They talk shit literally about. I'm talking about, and their previous agent they were talking shit about was me. But we went through the whole appointment. I mean, they didn't remember me or her. It was wild. We ended up selling their house, and then Laura actually sold their next house. And they never mentioned like, hey guys, you guys worked with us before, or you guys from our previous agent. They never mentioned any of that stuff. So, with your follow-up and stuff, just because you had like a bad call like a week ago, 2 weeks ago with somebody, that doesn't mean call them back, because they're probably not going to remember you. I mean, and here's the thing, like worst case, they hang up the phone on you, or worst case, you hang up the phone on them. You know what I mean? Hey, Patrick. Hey, Joy. Guys, Jim, if you're interested in my group coaching, man, just go to jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com. But yeah, Thursdays, kind of the way it works is, as soon as you join, you get access to all the archives. You get access to a big file section. You get access to the Facebook group. You get a couple of books of mine. You get, and then every week I try to focus on something about mine. I try to focus on mindset and give you guys some strategy for the week, or some skill building, because I think it's really important that sometimes I try to lay out a plan for you for the week, or something that's going to improve what you're already doing right now. So, I mean, like last week we talked about massive action again. And I mean, February we talked about massive action again. You guys heard me talk about that yesterday. I'm a big believer in like short spurts of massive action. But yeah, guys. So, closing the sale or closing for the appointment, I think there's a couple of different ways you do it, or a couple of different easy ways that you guys can do it. Number one, we'll kind of recap here, and then if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask him, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. But I'll kind of recap for you here, and then we'll wrap things up for this morning. But I think there's two ways to close the sale. Number one is you got to ask for it. If you don't ask for it, nobody's going to call you up and say, hey, Patrick, man, we talked 3 minutes the other day, and I told you I didn't want an agent, but I changed my mind, and I'm calling you back, and yeah, I want to list my house with you. Nobody's going to do that. The chances of somebody doing that's really, really damn slim. You got to ask for the business. If you don't ask for the business, they're probably not going to give it to you. You know, I mean, that's the thing. If you don't ask for the business, they're not going to give it to you. And on a lot of these calls, I got a lot of live calls I recorded in my group coaching of me setting appointments and stuff. And but if you don't ask for the business, they're not going to give it to you. That's number one. I think you got to ask multiple times. Some agents say, "Oh, well, I'd like to come out Tuesday. Can I come out today at 4:00?" And they say, "Oh, the day doesn't work." And they say, "Okay," and they quit. You know, they never ask like, "Oh, if today won't. Oh, are you working today? You know, oh, 4:00 will work for you today. Are you working? Will you be at work?" "Yeah, I worked at 5:30. "Hey, no problem. How about if I come like 6:30? Will that work for you? Give you a chance to get home?" And you know what? My next favorite one is, you know, if I just can't set the appointment and we go around and around, I know they got motivation. We've had a meaningful conversation. Sometimes, you know what? And they don't really live in the house. The house is vacant. Sometimes you go, hey man, well look, I'm gonna be out that way tomorrow. How about I do a drive by? I'd like to do a drive by. How about if I get out and walk around? Is that cool with you? I'd like to take a look at it. Is it cool if I walk around the house? And a lot of times I say, yeah. I say, well, look, I'm probably going to be out there about 2:00. Will you be available just in case I need anything? And now I'll tell you, it's really powerful if you go out there. If you do that, if you do use that closing strategy, you know, on these vacant houses, if you do it, you know, and you go out there and while you're walking around the house, you actually call them on the phone and say, "Hey, Steve." By the way, good morning, Steve. But you call them on the phone and you go, "Hey, man, this is Jason Morris. You know, we talked yesterday, and I'm out here at your house right now. I was kind of looking around, and you know, it's a nice looking house, man. How old's the roof?" And you go through this same process you normally go through, right? I think a lot of agents where they fail is they make the call and they make the appointment everything 100% about them. So the whole call, the whole meeting is, "Let me list your house. I'd love to list your house." I tell you what, like every time I hear that, I want to throw up when the agent says, "Hey, Mr. Seller, I'd love to list your house." No shit. No shit. You probably charge 5 to 7%. And yeah, I'm sure you would love for me to pay you like 10 grand, you know? Um, but I think that a lot of agents make the call. They make the call and they make the appointment. They make everything 110% about them. So the seller never really feels comfortable with you. You never ask any questions really to make them seem like you care at all. But you got to ask for the business. That's number one. And if they still tell you no, you got to follow up. You know, this is the wild thing in the real estate business too, is that you know, we'll call, a lot of us will pay for leads. We'll pay for a lead service like ZBuyer. And I believe this is why my coaching clients are crushing it with ZBuyer, and some of you guys are struggling with it. Is because I talk a lot about following up. You pay for a lead, okay? Now, hear me out. You pay for a lead. You call it one time and say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason. I'd love to list your house." And they go, "Oh, I hate real estate agents. Fuck off." And your response is, "Oh, they don't want to list their house." And you never call them again. But you paid $10 for the lead, $12 for the lead, you know? And you know, and here's the thing, you know, a no today doesn't mean a no tomorrow. And two, like when you're calling some of these people, sometimes they're just having a bad day. I mean, you guys think about it. Like I tell you what, click the thumbs up button. Have you ever been mean to a telemarketer? I'll give you a couple of minutes. Hit the thumbs up button if you've ever been mean to a telemarketer. If you've ever been mean to a bill collector, you know? Um, I mean, we're basically, I don't want to say we're the equivalent of telemarketers and bill collectors, but I believe that, you know, for that initial call, we're kind of on that same little wavelength there, right? You know, we called somebody out of the blue. We don't know the person. And, you know, like, dude, if I'm having a bad day and you're a telemarketer, man, dude, you're gonna have a fucking tough time on the phone, man. You need a break after we talk, you know? And sometimes it's not that I don't want to do business with you. It's not that I don't want your product. It's not that, I don't like it. It's just that, hey, man, I was having a bad day, dude. I mean, we all have that, right? So, sometimes you're catching them at a bad time. Sometimes they're short on the phone with you because you're catching them at a bad time. Sometimes they're having a bad day. Sometimes, I mean, God, it could be 100 different things. You know what I mean? Um, and so you got to follow up. Just because they were having a bad day today, that doesn't mean tomorrow might be a better day. You know what I mean? Yeah, Patrick. Yeah, dude. Some days, you're just having shitty days, man, and you're an asshole on the phone. But but yeah, you got to follow up. I mean, there's an interview with Elijah Privet on my YouTube channel where he one of the things he talked about was that month he listed a ton of properties, and he talked about having to make a minimum of 5 or 6 calls to set an appointment. And even then, I don't think that's enough. I don't think our follow-up plan is in depth enough. I think most real estate agents, their follow-up plan is they just wing it. I'll get back around to them whenever I feel like it. And you never damn it feel like it. But so but I think that we need to have, if you guys don't have this, I'll tell you this will improve your business. If you take and you map out your follow-up plan. You say, hey, on the first call, the first meaningful call, right? You can't count voicemails as a follow-up. Voicemails are important. Like I do believe that you should leave a voicemail on every single call, but I don't think you should count it as a follow-up attempt. But if you take and you follow up with them and you map out your follow-up calls, write down 10 or 12 different follow-up ideas, or if you don't want to do it or you don't feel like you have time to do it, just buy my follow-up master day planner. Just go to followupmasterdayplanner.com, go to Amazon, just buy it from there. It's $30 and that includes shipping if you're on Prime. But yeah, map out your follow-up system and just stick to it. Just say, hey, the first call I'm going to do this. The second call I'm going to do this. The third call I'm going to talk about, solds around the neighborhood. The fourth call, you got to get creative and you got to look for reasons to call people, But you got to ask for the sale and you got to follow up. That's number one and that's number two. And I think number three, you got to have confidence in what you're doing. You got to, you guys, I tell you, if you put together your pre-listing package and you really map out, and I do this in my group coaching. I mean, this is one of the main things that I feel like I do in my group coaching is I map out this stuff for you. But if you map out your whole process and you do it over and over again, right, you're going to get really damn good at it. It's like using scripts. If you ask those same 5 to 7 questions to every seller, once you talk to 100 sellers, once you talk to 500 and 1,000, you're going to know the answer to every one of those questions. So, what if you did that with your whole listing process and your whole listing system, right? And you knew the answer to every single question, because honestly, like there's not any classes, there's not webinars teaching sellers new objections to give realtors, right? The same objections I was getting 14 years ago are the same objections I get today. Every now and then I'll get one that'll be like, holy shit, maybe it's a damn good one. Maybe that guy's telling the truth. Sometimes you have to decide if it's an objection or a condition. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. If it's an objection or a condition. But if you guys map out your whole system, map out your whole process, it's going to raise your closing ratios. It might not raise it that week, but over time, it's going to raise it, because it's almost like you're going to develop psychic abilities, because all of a sudden you're going to know what everybody says. And you know what? And just like that story I told you guys a minute ago, dude, I'd swear, man, I tell the same stupid stories at every single listing appointment, ask the same stupid questions at every single listing appointment. Hey, Joseph. Hey, man, I talked about you a minute ago. I told people how great you're doing with ZBuyer. But Yeah, if you tell those same stupid stories, you ask the same stupid questions, you're going to start getting the same answers. You're going to get the same reactions. You know what I mean? I'll tell you something I do lately when I'm talking to clients. I always show them a picture. I always show them a picture. I got a picture of my dog and a picture of our baby, right? And they're like side by side, and she's smiling real big, and he looks happy too. And it's just like one of those really, really cute pictures. And like I show it at every single listing appointment, because or I show it every client I talk to. I've been showing that picture because I know what kind of response I'm going to get. And if you're not doing stuff like that, you got to do it. You got to build those little sales tools, those little processes and stuff. And you're doing things like that builds trust in the system and trust in you and things like that. Shows you're a real person too. But anyway, guys, hey, if I can help you, just send me a message through Facebook. And I got to wrap it up this morning. But hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon.